All right, we're back. The
Woo!
dog that's sitting on my lap did not like that. She was like, "What are you doing?" We're back here today. Graveyard Shift Movie Podcast, episode number 104. This week, we're here to talk about the world's scariest movie, proven by scientists. When we watched Sinister from 2012, starring Ethan Hawke, his second appearance, his first official appearance on the show, but he was in The Northman, so his second appearance on the channel. So we watched it. I don't know if it was the scariest movie of all time, but it got me. One part specifically got me, which I'm glad it was like the jump scare that is the one that's like one of the scariest jump scares of all time, like it's on lists and shit. So I'm glad at least it was that one. But besides that, I thought the movie was all right. I'm gonna give it a 7. I was gonna give it a higher score, Tyler, but I don't know how you feel. But I feel like the second half of this movie, or the last 45 minutes or so, is kind of a dog turd. So I was looking at like a 9 for a good while, and then it dropped down to like an 8, and then a 7.5, and then I finally settled on a 7. But I'll get more specific about that a little bit. But Tyler, what do you think? Was this the scariest movie of all time? The dog is coughing, and what are you gonna score it?
Was not the scariest movie of all time.
Yeah.
I actually didn't like the movie.
What?
And I was watching it, and I know I was like texting you or whatever, just because I do that when I'm watching shit. But I didn't like it. I didn't think it was scary at all. I didn't jump once.
Wow. To be fair, also you were like, yeah, I'm not watching this one with headphones. Crazy. I was like, this is probably the one to watch it with the just because, you know.
I did have subtitles, but I didn't watch with headphones.
Fucking subtitles.
The difference between this and what's the other one I like with fucking Patrick Bateman or whatever his name is?
You call him Patrick Bateman every time. I don't know how you do
I?
it. Yeah, every time. Patrick Wilson. The Conjuring.
The guy
or Insidious.
See, those fuck with the whole family. And this one, it felt very localized until, you know.
One of my biggest flaws of this movie is there's a reason why there's a family. It has to do with the twist that I'm sure you saw coming a mile away. But besides that, the family has no reason being in this movie. Like, it's you'll get like a couple scenes of the family during the day, and then at night when literally everything is happening that should wake up everybody in the house, it's just Ethan Hawke. Like, the wife's character is the most nothing character ever. The son, like, I don't even know what they were doing with the son. Yeah. And in the end, like, the daughter, I guess, is the only one who counts. But, yeah, anyway, go ahead.
And I'm going to be very specific right here to why this movie annoyed the fuck out of me. And it might just be because I'm insane.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they use Ethan Hawke's glasses through this whole fucking movie as a prop.
Yeah.
Because he'll see something and he goes, oh, let me put my glasses on. Oh, let me put my glasses. He takes those glasses on and off like 50 fucking times in the movie. And I'm like, just wear your fucking glasses.
I didn't notice that. But I will say, though, there is the one part of the movie that they like use the glasses as a reflection of something that happens in the tape, and it was pretty cool. I liked it a lot.
There was one part in here that it didn't make me jump, but it got me. Yeah. So I take that back. There was one part that I went, fuck me. And so, you know, there is that. So I lied. There was a part that got me. So
yeah. What are you gonna score?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 4. And like I said, you know, my ratings are all fucked up because, like, I hold things to different standards. Like, this is a mainstream movie 4, but like a Shudder 9. Does that make sense?
No. I put in Discord what he's talking about is when I was editing the Midsummer podcast. In the beginning, Tyler's like, "Yeah, I didn't like this movie at all. Nothing made any sense. I'm gonna give it a 6. It was really good. There was a lot of cool stuff." And I was like, I don't know what he thought.
It's Ethan Hawke's great. Training Day and all that. Amazing actor. So like, I hold these people accountable for what I know they can do versus what they gave us.
Did you know who the wife was? I was like, who is this British bitch they threw in this movie?
I don't know. She was okay. They should have used her like.
I don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, hey, spoiler warning for Sinister. If you've never seen it, we're gonna ruin everything about it. So, you've been warned. So when I say, Tyler, that the second half of the movie kind of seems like poo-poo, whenever they introduce like the fucking, you get that terrible scene of Ethan Hawke like walking around the house, and they have to have every ghost kid like slow-mo run to a different room or whatever. The ghost kids were the dumbest looking thing in this whole movie, and I hated it. Like
when he's like walking and he can't see him, and they're doing like interpretive dance
behind them and shit. Yeah. They're doing the baton. I hated the ghost kids. Like, and then is because the big like at the end. All right, dog. There you go. There.
Can't read the notes.
I can't.
Hey, R.I.P. dog.
Yeah, she might be dead by the time this episode comes out. I don't think so. But when they do the big reveal and the guy gets the extended cut endings or whatever, they completely, first off, they're like extended cut, this is what really happened, and it shows, spoiler, the kids killing the family. And I was like, did anyone watch this and was like, what? Like, were they surprised? As soon as the beginning of the movie, where you see the 4 people get hung in the tree, it's a pretty cool opening. We'll start getting into the movie in a little bit.
I made a joke, but then like everything was named that.
I thought that you had like seen the tape already that was like hanging out with the family or whatever.
No,
and that's
I was like, oh, this family, they're pretty cool. They're hanging out, and I was like, ha!
Yeah.
And then I realized they used that throughout the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I went, I feel like they stole a joke.
Yeah.
But they made it first.
Yeah.
But
yeah, as soon as, and you see someone cut the limb or whatever, and then they get into there was there's a missing child, and they show like the tape, and you can see like the missing girl and stuff, and it's all this shit. And I was like, so the kids are totally going to be the killer, right? Literally, let's see. This is it. Yeah, my 4th note, okay, is there is a girl missing here. Cop thinks she's dead, but Ethan Hawke doesn't. Gonna go ahead and guess that that's the one who cut the branch in the beginning. My 4th note is predicting the big twist is that the kids are the ones that are, killing everybody. But they show the extended cut endings to reveal it, and then they completely ruin it. The worst one was the swimming pool one, where he pulls the people into the swimming pool. He sits down in the pool, and then he looks back to the camera, and he goes, like, it's the dumbest, their whole shush thing. I hate it. I hated it so much.
There's the kid, and he was really bad when he was running down the hallway and stuff.
Yeah.
But the one who slit the throats or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They have the extending ending, and he just walks in with a knife and then sticks it in the table. And
yeah.
He's like, Hush.
Yeah.
Like all jazz handsy. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, oh, that made me so mad.
I hated the shush thing. Yeah, I hated it.
Were you upset that there wasn't enough Mr. Boogie in this? Because I was like, we need to see a lot more Mr. Boogie. And like the drawings made him seem so adorable, right?
Okay.
Like the little sick guy, he's like, hey, Mr. Boogie.
I'm not, like he's in, and he's like the force that's like, corrupting the children or whatever. But like, he doesn't do anything. Like, he just sort of, He pops up a couple times, but he just sort of stands there, and yeah. Also, did you get the whole thing with the scorpion and the snake and stuff?
Yeah, those are the three things or whatever. The dog and all that.
Oh, yeah, it's like his three forms, so that was all him. So I was like, oh, okay. Because, this fucking dog wants down. You keep it up. I'm going to put the needle
I thought you set it down already.
I put her on the bed.
Oh.
But now she wants out.
Surprise appearance in this movie by Vincent Onofrio. Amazing actor. Should have been the sheriff and been in more stuff in this movie. But they made him some random professor guy who calls him twice on Skype. I don't understand why, but why? What?
I don't think that was Vincent Onofrio.
It was.
I don't think so.
How much you want to bet? Before you looking. How much you want to bet?
$5.
Okay.
All right. What was the name of that guy even?
He was the professor at the university.
Well, I can tell you that just upon searching it up, Vincent Onofrio is not listed on the front page of Google for the cast. And I imagine since they listed fucking what's no name on here that,
Listen, that was Vincent Onofrio. I know him in real life. He was like, hey, I'm filming Sinister, but I'm also filming Kingpin, so I can't be there in person. They have to do this way.
So you want to know, it was Vincent D'Onofrio, but he was uncredited, so it doesn't count.
Oh, fuck you.
That's how that works, right? I didn't see him at all.
Chester the Chihuahua is barking dog.
Yeah, shout out to the Chihuahua, which he was just barking. As far as we know, that Chihuahua lived. So, shout out. I guess Bagoogle likes Chihuahuas.
I guess you, he doesn't, because he appeared as a Rottweiler, but,
Well, no one's afraid of Chihuahuas.
First time you saw those kids in that little scene was good.
Which one? In the attic?
No, in the yard, when the dog was, barking.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
That was the only good time you saw those kids, though.
Yeah. Because what is it they're doing in the attic, when he gets up there, and then Bagul is, on the projector, and he's, walking towards him or something?
Watching home videos.
I don't know. Yeah, I hated the kids.
I hated the whole premise of this movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was cool up until they were it's the kids. And then after that, it fucking reminded me of a Barney sing-along or something. Because all the kids were dancing around and shit. And I just needed a purple dinosaur to come out and be like, hey, boys and girls.
Yeah.
But instead it was fucking Boogie Woogie or whatever his name was.
Yeah. And
he still never seemed like a bad guy. I mean, other than the kill your family type stuff. But,
Yeah. At first, you're like, oh, he's nice to the kids. And then you realize, oh, no, he's just eating them over time.
But how is he eating them over time, though?
I don't know. Fucking Vincent D'Onofrio, uncredited, explained it. So, just go back and listen to him. The movie starts with
bitter about that $5.
No. The movie starts with a Super 8 film that'll be a running theme throughout this movie. Filmed real Super 8 film. They use real Super 8 shit for it. We watched another movie once that had a bunch of Super 8 footage on it, and you were like, we need to get one. And then we looked it up, and it was $4,000.
No, they were $80 on Etsy, I think.
But yeah, it opens up with a Super 8 film of 4 people who have bags over their head, and they are being hung in a tree. And upon first viewing, you think, oh, they're dead, or whatever. And then you realize that someone's using, it's that long pole that has the saw on the end or whatever. I don't know what the actual term is for it.
Fucking dummy. It's called a pole saw?
That would make sense. Hey,
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait, how does he? Okay, I was like, he's gonna get there, and then he didn't, and I went,
And they're cutting the limb next to them, and they've rigged it up so the rope is tied to the limb. So when the limb falls, the rope tightens up and pulls up on the other branch, and they get lifted higher. And then you realize that these people are still alive. Gonna be honest, not really sure why they wouldn't be kicking when they were already hanging like 3 feet off the ground in the first place, and why the extra lift would get them.
apparently, some of them are drugged.
So supposedly, yeah, everyone in this movie is supposed to be drugged, but yeah, but yeah, they get pulled up and we see their feet kicking around. We see the pole saw is the name of it drop down from where it was, and that's the opening of the. That was bad. Just had an aneurysm right then. That was the opening of the movie. Then we cut to Ethan Hawke, who, do you have any idea what his character name in this movie is? I'm just going to refer to him as Ethan Hawke.
That's probably the best way, but, I don't know, shitty dad? I don't know.
Wow. Ethan Hawke, who is moving into a new house with his wife and his daughter and his son. He's writing a book, which is a thing he does.
He's a true crime author.
True crime author. And supposedly, I think 2 books back, he hit it big time. A book called Kentucky Blood was his big break, which it's some crime that he investigated, did all this shit, and then I'm assuming found like the right, the right murderer or whatever, and like caught the guy. Because later he'll do like interviews and he's like, it's all about the justice. But this whole movie is about like him just being obsessed with the fame and that one more big
chasing clout. Yeah.
So yeah, they're moving into this new house that we'll soon learn when Ethan Hawke goes inside and looks out the back door. The tree from the beginning is there. And so he has moved into the house that this murder took place in the backyard. He's also here because the youngest, or maybe not the youngest daughter, but one of the daughters of the family, Stephanie, is missing. A sheriff outside comes to welcome Ethan Hawke and his family into the neighborhood. And by welcome, I mean he's like, why don't you get the fuck out of here? Like, the first thing he says is like, what I gotta do to convince you folks to get the fuck out of here and never look back. And Ethan Hawke's like, I'm not going to do it. And we learn, like, this is a thing Ethan Hawke has to deal with because of what his profession is. Like, cops don't really like him.
Well, it's pretty ghoulish, right? To, like, invest, like, he's profiting off of this somewhat dead family.
They're real dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, would you move into a haunted house?
No.
Like, right now, me, you, and Mav, 100% would move into a house that a family got killed in, right? But if you're married with kids, would you and your husband move into a house? Or what?
Yeah.
I mean, once you have other people who can't, like, look out for themselves, you're kind of forcing them in that scenario. Yeah. So, I don't know.
One of the reasons the sheriff doesn't want Ethan Hawke here is because apparently Ethan Hawke's last book he wrote, whatever his findings were of the crime and who he picked out to be the suspect was the wrong guy, and they apparently like went through with prosecution and all that, and like the real murderer got away and everything, and so the dude is like, you're gonna make the same mistake here. It's kind of
it wasn't Kentucky Blood. It was one before that, and his book raised suspicions on the actual killer they had, who was right. So like the real crazy dude got off.
Yeah. The weird thing is like Kentucky Blood, and then the guy talks about like his last 2 books were shit or something. So unless there's like a wider gap there, it seems like he wrote Kentucky Blood and then wrote 2 stinkers. And the whole movie, the guy's talking about like we're broke, even though they're moving into like this great house. To be fair, the guy says he gets a deal on it, and then later the wife has a great line where she's like, "Well, of course," because she just found out about the murders in the fucking yard and shit. But then we see like his home, their like
his
real
previous
home.
house.
Yeah,
Jesus,
and it's
like a fucking
huge
chateau in Paris or something. It is so nice.
Yeah. So, oh my god, the fucking dog is scratching on the door. Get out of here. But yeah, and so it seems like this guy wrote Kentucky Blood and then wrote 2 bad books, and somehow like his whole career is ruined. Which I guess that might be a thing. Like if he's not already an established author, and then he had the one big hit and then couldn't follow up on it, you know. But yeah. Also, they throw in a weird thing. Well, not weird, but later, where apparently the dude used to just write fiction books. But, like, I guess they weren't selling very well. So that he switched over to true crime because his wife is like, why don't you go back to writing fiction? I liked your stories. And he's like, well, you're about the only one, you know? Yeah.
So, this is a problem I have.
All right.
I don't know when you find this out. It might be when he does a TV interview that for some reason they put static on just because of the VHS tape, which made me mad. But
yeah.
They're like author of the New York Times bestseller. You don't get much bigger than that, though, right? Like,
yeah,
that's top of the food chain.
Yeah.
So he's already had that hit book. Like,
yeah. I don't know.
I don't understand.
I don't know. But regardless, that's why he's here. He's here to do some research about the murder that took place. Try to find out where this missing daughter is, and in the process get filthy stinking rich. That's his that's his plan. The wife doesn't know about this. She does know because the sheriff visits, and so when they go back inside, she's like, please tell me we didn't buy a house in a neighborhood that the murder took place. And the guy's like, all right, we didn't buy a house that in a neighborhood that the murder took place, you know?
No, she said, what was it? Please tell me we didn't move 2 houses down from the murder. And he was like, no, of course not.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy's a fucking dude. Like, right when that happened, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's the villain of the story.
Yeah. What?
Oh, it's Bagul. He's back.
So that night, they're moving everything in, and Ethan Hawke is taking a box into the attic. A little piece of hair sticking up back there. I have to get it down. He's taking a box into the attic, and he sees a scorpion. And
it's Sting. Wait, did Mr. Boogie remind you of Sting at all?
No.
Really? With the face paint and everything?
Yeah. I like that you've stuck to calling him Mr. Boogie when I despise that name in the movie, and then they were like, Bagul, and I was like, all right, that's much better.
Well, I just figured you would know who Mr. Boogie was, and Bagul, you'd be like, who the fuck is Bagul?
No.
Okay, so I'll call him Bagul from now on. So Bagul is like, I don't know, he looks like a mix between Sting and like a death metal artist.
He looks like Jay Weinberg, the drummer for Slipknot's mask.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you see him, like later on, there's a scorpion in the beginning. Yeah. Right? Like you just said.
And it's Sting.
And then you see him, and I go, it is Sting! And I was getting all excited, but it's not Sting.
Woo! He has a Sting yell and stuff.
I was like, he was in the Raptors. It all makes sense.
Yeah.
And
he sees a scorpion, and he decides to just drop a box on it. Just for no reason.
That scorpion is big as fuck, especially when he squashed it. It was like...
Yeah.
Size of a softball.
I don't know. I always like... because people get scorpions in their houses and stuff, and I always imagine like that's a bug you just take outside. Like I don't think I would see a scorpion and be like, I gotta kill it. You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen a real life scorpion, like
in a zoo
in your house?
Well, no, yeah. I don't know. I mean, we have
all the ones I've seen
here, but
were like tiny, right?
Yeah,
like not that size.
Well, the tiny ones you might kill them. But like if a big scorpion came in, I'd be like, all right, let's get this thing out of here.
I'm gonna
You can
kill
just
them
grab
all.
like pinchers.
No, I'm grabbing them all. I'm killing them
Wow.
all.
But anyway, goes into the goes into the attic, drops a box on a scorpion, and then he finds a old box full of Super 8 films with family films such as Family Hangout, Barbecue,
In the grass.
Pool Time, yeah, Cutting the Grass, and all that. And he's like, "Oh, what is this thing?" That night, this doesn't have anything to do with the story, but that night they eat dinner in a fucking dark ass house. Like they have no lights on. Like I was like, who eats like? And they're the kind of assholes who like eat with chopsticks. Like we're cultured.
That was the main complaint about me in this whole fucking movie. At one point in the movie, the power goes out, so he's forced to be in darkness, and I'm like, okay. The rest of the movie, they got power, and it's the middle of the day, but for some reason, it's the darkest fucking place on the planet.
It literally looks like they have one lamp on in this dinner scene, and I was like, who eats like this? So I just want to bring that up because
My shit's always bright as fuck.
Yeah.
Like if I don't have any light on, I'm like, it sure is dark in here.
Yeah. So that night, everyone's settled in. Kids are in bed. Dude goes to say goodnight to his wife. He's going to stay up in his office, start getting, working on his book. He says he's only going to work like 2 hours or so. By work on his book, I mean that he's going to try to solve a crime, and at no point in this movie do we ever see him begin to start a writing process. Like, it's just him with a board that he sticks pictures on, and he writes questions to himself. And there is no writing involved. But as he tells her goodnight, his wife, kind of a dick, is just like, hey, what if your 15 minutes of fame is up? She's like, and
so do you think she's being a dick or she's being realistic?
Well, here's the weird thing. Whatever happened when he wrote his last book, something happened where I guess this dude went in like a dark place or something. Because she keeps talking about, I don't want what happened to you the last time you wrote the book to happen again, and like where you went and stuff. But they never reflect further on that. So I think she's just tired of messing with like all these murders and stuff. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this is a scene where she asked him to go back to just writing fiction.
I'm pretty sure she's just, worried about the sanity of her kids and their well-being, being a normal parent. But, yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, she says that, if you get real bad, I'm going to pack up the kids and head to my sister's house. And, to be fair, dude is like, all right, yeah. Like he doesn't fight it at all.
Because he's a fucking prick. God, he's so bad in this. Like,
yeah.
He's just all about his glory, right? He says he hides behind the veil of it's for truth and justice, but he just wants money.
You almost think because when he's watching that tape of himself in that interview, and the guy asks him, "What do you like more, like the fame or the justice?" And in the interview, he's like, "Oh, the justice." There's a scene of Ethan Hawke like sort of grimacing and putting his head down and stuff, and you think he's having this moment of like, because clearly he's lying and like he cared about the fame, and you think now maybe he's coming around to like, oh, I'm lying and shit. But then later he has a full breakdown thing where he's like, I'm gonna be filthy fucking rich, and like he doesn't care about the justice at all. So I don't know.
Just a hint: if you're watching an interview of yourself years prior
with a terrible comb over haircut,
then chances are vanity is not one of your strong suits, and you're a piece of shit. So sorry.
He puts on the first film that we see, and it starts off just nice and casual, just showing the family like playing around, and then it cuts to the footage of them being hanged that we saw in the beginning, and dude is like, oh, what's this now,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's pause right there.
Okay.
What normal fucking human who lives in a house where people have been murdered gets footage of said murder and doesn't, fucking call the cops? Calls anybody?
He starts to after like the third tape, and to the point that he gets through to them, and then he's like, he looks over at like Kentucky Blood. He has a bunch of books on it, and he just like hangs up because he's like, this is my chance, So yeah, he starts to, but then he stops.
So even a weirdo fuck, and I'm just saying, I mean, this is hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Say you're the type of guy who likes watching videos of people die online and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? Hypothetically, let's say you're some sick fuck like that.
Nobody totally admitted to that in an episode about Midsummer or anything.
Continuity errors.
Yeah.
But, well, let's say you're that person. I think we both admit anyway. But like you literally have a smut film here, right? Like a snuff film. Sorry, not smut film. That's completely different. So it's like, why
combine them?
Jesus. So it's like I just don't understand. Like I don't get it. I understand he's trying to make like the breaking news or whatever, or break the story. But that should be the end of the story right there, right? Just that one piece of thing would make his next book sell for, 1 billion copies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So. I don't understand the movie.
He watches this tape, and then, he's like, and he's writing down questions like, who filmed this? Where is Stephanie, As he's tinkering around in his office, he hears a door open up. And you're like, oh, this is one of the mini scenes of him trying to work in his office and then hearing a noise outside and then him like lurking around the house for a while.
It's pretty much I'm going to say 60% of this movie.
It might be. It's a lot.
After watching it, now looking back and thinking about it,
how
many fucking scenes is it where he's just walking around the hallway?
There's a lot. There's a lot of them. He goes out, walking around, looking for whoever it is, and it has a scene of like he goes in like a room, and then someone walks by him, and he's like, oh, and he turns around, and eventually he opens up a closet, but it's just his daughter who's like half asleep, and she's like, I can't find the bathroom, and he's like, oh, come on, it's this way. So he shows her the bathroom, gets her back in bed, fucking shuts the lights out on her, and it's like a pitch black room. And I was like, man, I still don't sleep in a pitch black room. Fucking 23, I'll leave the closet cracked with a little light just in case I gotta get up and take a shit in the middle of the night, Like, pitch black room. He goes back to his office, puts on the next tape, and this one, I think is the best tape out of the bunch. Where it's a fam at like a lake and they're chilling out, and then it cuts to inside the garage, and the car that we saw in the tape is wrapped in chains, which, thinking back to it, there was really no reason for it to be wrapped in chains, because the people inside were like tied up, and but I guess for extra in case they got out of the ties.
Well, even if they got out, there was big holes in the windows where
through. I thought since they were just at the lake, I thought they were going to get dumped into the lake. But then I realized, they're in a garage. And the camera is like panning past, and we see the people like tied up in the car and stuff and mouth thing. And it's playing like this crazy sound on loop where I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I'm assuming the clip will be playing here. There you go. Hopefully it played there. If not, that looked really dumb. But it's playing this crazy sound, and then the guy, whoever's filming, well, we know who's filming, goes over in front and throws a match and lights the whole car on fire. And this is what I say, like, it cuts back out and we see the like into Ethan Hawke's glasses or whatever. and it looked really cool. But I think that was the best tape. That was when I messaged you that I just got really unnerved by this movie. Like, the sound along with, like, the Super 8 footage of, like, the people in the car and stuff. It was really unnerving. So I think that was the best film that they did. Really, this whole movie just got me wanting to watch more of those VHS movies. Like, that's what this movie did to me. Also, in case you were wondering, Tyler, because I was wondering when I was watching it, because it had all these sounds, and I was like, are these sounds part of the movie that he's watching, you know? Apparently, when Ethan Hawke would sit there and watch these tapes, it would be the first time he was seeing them, and the sound that you hear in the movie would also be the sound he was hearing. So, like, he has the soundtrack and the, like, that crazy sound I was talking about is going on with him too. So everything is like he's reacting to it for the first time. For the most part, obviously there's parts like with the family cutthroat thing, and then the guy goes into like the kid's bedroom, and they have this where he like turns away and he doesn't watch it. Like, that's part of the script. He didn't like improvise that shit, but at least I think I'm assuming he didn't improvise that. But yeah, so the sound, at least for him, the actor was there. I don't know if it's supposed to actually be connect, like the character in the movie could hear the same stuff. But anyway, what do you think of that tape, Tyler?
It was okay. Kind of threw me off.
Okay.
Well, no, it's because you see the first tape and it's like a white family playing catch in the yard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the second tape is a Latino family, Puerto Rican or something.
I don't know. I don't think I noticed.
And no, I noticed race. Trust me. But like, I was like, why is there two different tapes from two different families in one Super 8? Because this isn't like the internet, guys. This isn't like you found a thumb drive that had a couple clips on it and you were like, okay, this is a collection. These are fucking like real physical, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why is he in the family's tapes?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to notice the kids weren't the same and everything was different. And I was like, what? So then the whole tape kind of fooled me. But there's a thing in this movie where the perspective, especially when walking around, is way off. So when they do the car scene, and this is hindsight, guys. You probably won't realize this the first time watching.
Uh-huh.
But that's the littlest kid.
Okay.
The littlest boy, right?
Yeah.
In that scene. But when they're walking around the car, that camera's really high up.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no way he'd be standing this tall. Like, he should have been a lot lower down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, this shit just doesn't make sense. There's another scene like that with the lawnmower. Same thing.
Yeah.
Because that's like the actual tiniest person in a little rain jacket.
In a little raincoat, yeah.
Yeah, but if you look, the camera's like a normal person pushing a lawnmower. Like, well, no normal person. That's, you know, our height.
Uh-huh.
So, but it bugs me. But it is what it is.
So dude sees that film, and this is when he goes to call the police. And as he gets them on the line, he looks over and sees like a bunch of copies of his book. And he's like, and he hangs up because he's like, this is my moment, you know? He goes to put on another film, but he hears the door opening again. So he thinks it's his daughter getting up again, but he goes and looks, and she's fast asleep in her bed. So he's like, oh shit, what's going on? Another like 10-minute scene of him walking around looking for stuff, and he keeps hearing different noises that take him different directions. And eventually, he winds up in the kitchen where I think it's the box that had the tapes in it is sitting there, and he goes over to it, and like out of it comes his son, who comes out like backwards and like looking back at him and just starts screaming his head off. I was like, Jesus Christ, what is going on? The dude picks him up and goes running outside, and he's trying to calm him down and shit. And the wife wakes up and comes out and, you know, is like, is he all right, you know? And apparently he does this. He suffers from night terrors. And this is what I mean when I say, like, they have this implemented in the movie, and they're like, I thought he'd grow out of it by now. But it has no point in being there, like, unless, they use it as like, he hasn't been this bad in a long time, and it must be something about the house or whatever. But besides that, like, the night terror thing just kind of seemed like just thrown in there. Don't get me wrong, that scene was cool of him coming out of the box, but yeah.
It bugged me because it sets you up to think he's the child or whatever. Mm-hmm. And anyone who likes horror movies knows that it's too easy.
Yeah.
So.
He gets them back, calms them down and stuff. The next morning at breakfast, he's like, I was in a box? And they were like, yeah. And he's like, I don't remember anything about that, This is also when he starts asking if he can see the place that the people were murdered and stuff, because apparently he's really interested in this stuff. But the wife is like, no, the kids can't know about this. She's like, your dad shouldn't even be writing about this stuff. It's awful, but he's a grown-up, so she doesn't want the kids to know about it. But the son is interested in it. Once again,
12.
He's 12, yeah. They said he's the only one they ever say his age, and I thought that was going to be important. Like, I wrote down, the son is 12. Because I was like, they were going to do a thing where, like, once a kid reaches 12, like, that's his vulnerable age or something, but no. Once again, nighttime, dude goes in his office, puts on a film of people playing at a pool, and then it cuts to nighttime, and they're tied down on, like, the pool lounge chairs, and one by one they're pulled inside. They have, like, cinder blocks on the bottom. They're pulled in, and you see, like, their feet kicking while they're drowning and stuff. That was cool. Also, we'll learn that this is, like, the oldest film. This is the first one that kicked everything off. And when the camera pans over, we got our first look at Bagul, aka Mr. Boogie, who is the fuck? Who is hiding? Well, not hiding, but he's just like chilling out under the water, and he sort of looks at the camera, and Ethan Hawke is like, "What the fuck?" And so he pauses it and goes walking all the way up to the screen. And I thought it was going to do like a jump scare out of the screen or whatever. But the film just catches on fire and burns up. And I guess this might be just a common thing for Super 8 films, because the dude doesn't seem too, like, how did this burn up? He's just like, oh. So I'm guessing that's a thing.
It happens. It's the same with, like, what's those fucking things that old people used? Slideshows? That has the wheel.
Okay, yeah.
It's the same, because it's just a super hot light, and they didn't have non-heat. It's not like fluorescent or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's an amazing amount of heat pushed out by him.
All right. So he manages to get, like, I think a negative of that film, or maybe he's just able to salvage it somehow. But his plan is he goes and buys, like, a normal, like, video camera that you hold in your fan, like, up-to-date video camera, and he puts that beside him and films the films that are playing, and then he'll put the chip into the computer so that way he can go, like, frame by frame in that shit. He does that for that film, but when he goes to look, it has, like, you can only partially see Bagul's face. You don't get, like, a full shot of him like you did before. Somehow the film has been tarnished. So he's like, fuck, that sucks. Mom and the kids get home from school. The son got in trouble because his first day, he drew in permanent marker on the whiteboard a drawing of a family of 4 people being hung on a tree. And he apparently heard that was what his dad was writing about. And so the mom is super pissed at him. She's like, you're supposed to keep your fucking office locked. The kids don't need to be exposed to this. He's like, I keep it locked. I don't know how he knew, But somehow that kid found out. Once again, nighttime comes around, and he goes in and finds another tape of this time just a person walking through a house, and eventually they go into a bedroom where a family is tied down, and there's a chihuahua in the middle of them just barking and not doing shit to protect them. And very slow, he just like slits their throat. And then
doesn't ever show, right? Like
it every time it
slight, like it's weird.
Every time it goes to do it, it pans out and you can just see it in his glasses, like the slit. That person leaves, and then they go across the hall to where this little kid is sleeping, and they go to kill the kid, and that's when Ethan Hawke like turns away, and he's like been drinking this whiskey the whole movie, and he's like drinking more whiskey.
Does it bother me that I didn't know what kind of whiskey it was?
That they never said like what he was drinking?
Yeah, well, I didn't. You never saw the label, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, "What is this?" And I think it's Buffalo Trace. If we have any whiskey fans out there, I think it's Buffalo Trace, which is really good, kind of low end whiskey. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of bright. It's $60 a bottle, so it's not that low end. But
hey,
it just bugged me.
If anyone listens to this podcast and they are able to acquire a Woodchuck Green Apple Cider, please send it my way. Reach out to me. I still haven't been able to try it ever since.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It might be out of business now or something.
I don't think I keep looking up the website and it has it there, but it won't let you can't just buy it and get it shipped. Like that's not a thing. You have to go, which is bullshit. They should let you because the places do that. You can just buy it and ship it there.
Well, where the state we live in, it's illegal to ship alcohol.
Well, you can buy like whiskey shit.
You can.
I bet you I could buy that Slipknot bottle of whiskey.
I was looking for it. I was gonna get you. I forgot what it was. There was some weird one that I was gonna get you that was like cool. And it wasn't Slipknot. It was something. No, it was wine from somebody.
Prime.
Undertaker.
Oh no.
Or just WWE. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like
they
like
make
that
wine.
Made a wine.
WWE had a wine. They had 3. It was the Undertaker, I think maybe The Rock and Austin or something. But
I was gonna get it for you, but you can't ship it. So I was like, so I got you nothing instead.
Yeah. Using the because he videoed it once again, he goes back to that footage and uses the contrast slider to up the contrast enough that he can see that there's a poster on the kid's wall of a science camp in St. Louis, Missouri. And then he's able to take that and look at the date written on the case that the Super 8 was kept in and see that it was like 1998 or whatever. And so he looks up family murder, St. Louis, 1998, stabbing or whatever. And he's able to find a news story about a family who was tied down and stabbed in their home, and their son is missing. Once again, a 13-year-old son they mentioned. So I was like, oh, it's around the same age.
I went to Woodchuck's website, and you could 100% just order it.
Yeah. We'll order.
I don't know which one you want. Anyway, keep going.
I think it's the Granny Smith, right? Isn't that green apple?
Yeah, well, they have variety packs.
Yeah, but we need to get some. We'll do a taste test for the.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he sees that, he's like, huh, and then the fucking power goes out. And I don't know what it was about it, but I did like the scene of the power going out. Like, it was cool how it happened, and like his face was illuminated by the screen and stuff. I don't know what it was about it, but I enjoyed it. Then we get our favorite part of the movie where he's walking around listening to noises again. And this time he hears a noise in the attic. So he goes up in the attic and he hears like a noise underneath like the lid of a shoebox. What it was like a shoebox lid that was just here. And he lifts it up and there's a fucking snake under there that slithers away. And he's like, what the fuck was that? But he picks up the box and underneath the box are a bunch of drawings of all the murders that we've seen so far, and each one, it has a drawing of Mr. Boogie. And this is when I think that the movie 100% gives away, like, the big twist, is because, like, it's labeled mom and dad. You know what I mean? So, like, it's like, well, clearly the kid, like, one of the children they had drew this. So he's like, oh, what is this? And then he's walking away, and he falls through the fucking roof. And he's like hanging there for a minute, and then it looks like something pushes him down, and it isn't until later that randomly he gets, like, he finds a recording on his camera of him in the hole of the attic, and you see a bunch of ghost hands like coming up and pulling him down. Was that him?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that was him. Dude. I don't know how that camera got there, and I don't know how he got the footage of it. But yeah, he had the footage of someone was filming him, and a bunch of little hands came up and grabbed him and pulled him down.
I mean, that's when you knew it was kids, right?
Yeah.
And I think that ruined the movie.
Yeah.
Or ruined the surprise, rather.
Yeah. Paramedics come to check him out. The dude's like, you should go to the hospital to get some stitches. But the guy's like, I don't want to. So the guy's like, all right, and he leaves.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you should go to the hospital and get taken care of. Yeah. He's like, you should go fuck yourself. And they just walks off or
That's
something.
What my dad, he came home from golf one day, super dehydrated, and, like, was all sick in the bedroom. And then he came out to, like, say something and, like, passed out. And my mom, like, tried to catch him, but she ended up, like, the way she was holding him, it snapped his leg, and, like, he broke his leg, and he was laying, like, on the ground, and then she called 911, and then they pulled up, and my dad just came out, broken leg, he didn't know it was broken at the time, and was like, we don't need it. He just waved him off, and then later he was like, my leg kind of hurts. Meanwhile, a little 5-year-old Thomas or whatever was in his tidy whities sitting in the living room like, what's going on? So, anyway, shout out to that. Also here, though.
I've never heard that story before, and I thought I heard all these.
No, I got a couple secrets hidden away.
Couple hidden away?
Yeah. So, yeah, and from that point on, anytime my dad brings that up, he's like, yeah, like the time you broke my leg. And she's like, I was trying to catch you. Also here is Deputy So-and-so, who is played by, I don't know the actor's name, sorry. But I know him most as Ziggy from The Wire Season 2. But he also played, Eddie. I don't remember his last name in that It 2 movie. He was Eddie.
So let's take a moment to talk about Detective So-and-so.
Okay.
That's literally
his name. Yeah.
It's not that we're dumb.
Yeah.
We are, but that's not it. They make him to be like Dewey from Another Scary Movie in this first meeting, whatever. And he's like, duh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And then progressively as it goes on, he becomes into like a super detective, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, he starts off here, he's like a super fan, and the only reason he's here is because the guy like reported like he heard noises in the attic, but Ziggy's just like, you probably got squirrels, and he's like
this
talking
whole
real
like
serious.
Snakes ain't got legs, or snakes ain't got feet. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
I don't know, but yeah, he's like, he probably got squirrels. But then while he's there, he's like, I'm a big fan. I don't have my copy of my book, but do you have another one you could sign? The guy's like, yeah, sure. So he's like signing the book, and then as he's there, Detective So-and-so is like, that page you got where you like thank people who helped you with the book, and the guy's like, acknowledgments, and he's like, yeah. He's like, like you could have like, man, I couldn't have done this without the help of Deputy, so-and-so or whatever. He's like, well, that could be me, And so at first, Ethan Hawke's going to, like, blow him off. But then he's like, all right, you want to help? And the dude's like, yeah. And he's like, all right, well, I got something for you. And he tells him to look up and get as much information as he can on the St. Louis murder a murder about a family being pulled into a pool and all, and then the fire one, and the dude's like, "Oh, is this part of your investigation?" And he's like, "No, it's just research, you know? I feel like Deputy so-and-so, like, he's a fanboy and stuff, but I feel like he should have been like, these are very specific crime, like, you know, like, do you have anything on these?" But he doesn't question it, and he's just like, "Yeah, happy to help." So he leaves that night. This is when we get the scene of Ethan Hawke watching the old interview of himself. When Kentucky Blood came out, he's got the awful haircut, and he's talking about how justice is the most important thing and everything. He then goes through all the films and tries to find Bagul in all of them, and he ends up finding, you know, he's in the pool, in the tree hanging one, he's like peeking out behind a bush. The fire one, he just like pops up in like a window. And then I can't remember if he found them in the one with the stabbing with the family slit or whatever, but he goes through and like,
I'm sure he was in all the ones he looked, he found them.
Yeah. But he finds them, takes and like prints out copies of, you know, like the stills of him standing there. As he does that, he gets a call back from Detective So-and-so about the murders he asked about. And when he's talking to him, Bagul is like on his laptop screen, and this is the only instance, well, not the only instance, but the first time we get where Bagul then like and turns around in the thing and looks at him, and then turns back, and Ethan Hawke like turns back after Bagul's turned around again, but he completely misses that. That kind of seems random. They never really do another thing like that, but I guess it goes into more of like the thing of, oh, he lives in the film, spoiler, but you know, that's kind of the first instance of that. This is when dude, I guess maybe he gets like airdropped it, if that's a thing now, of where he sees the video of himself falling through the floor and a bunch of little hands grabbing him and shit, and that freaks him out. He goes to bed, but then the projector in his office turns on, so he goes into his office where it's playing the video of the people hanging, but no one's in there. As he's in there, he looks at like the stills he's taken of Bagul and all the videos, and he takes the one of Bagul hiding behind the bush in the tree hanging one and puts it up to the window to match it up perfect.
Excuse me.
Bless you. That's the opposite of what you're supposed to. But he puts it up to match it perfect, and then you know, everyone could see it coming. He pulls it down. Bagul standing there with, and his face is behind the bush again, and there's a big burn, you know, and he's like, "What the fuck?" So he goes outside, flashlight. He's looking around. Another scene of him looking around with flashlight, until he goes over and peers down the bush, and he finds his son, who's sitting there shaking. And once again, he has like a night terror. Night terror also, I guess, equates to sleepwalking, because he's doing an awful lot of that when he's having these night terrors. So he gets...
ever sleepwalk as a child?
Not that I know of.
I did. I was really bad with it. They found me in the yard and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, shit.
So, I might be Baguli.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it means. I'm gonna look it up when we got done, because I haven't really thought about it. But,
yeah. So he takes the kid inside. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go back out and get my bat," because he had a bat with him. He goes back out, and this is when there's a Rottweiler out here growling at him, and he's like, "Good dog," you know. But he's not giving off like good dog vibes. It's very defensive vibes he's putting up, which, you know, when you see a dog, first thing in my head is, "Oh, bye," you know, like that thing. Even when they're growling, you try to talk them down. But the whole
just
time,
so folks know,
yeah,
Tom works at a spot where he meets a lot of random dogs every day.
Yeah,
and he's probably been in this situation.
Yeah.
So, like, believe it, this is something he actually has real world experience.
For the most part, it works. Sometimes abandoned ship. They do not care about your baby talk. So he's reaching for the bat the whole time he's doing this. And as he leans down, this is when we get like the shot of like the the dead kids lined up behind them with like light shining on their back. It's a cool shot. It's a shame that the rest of the things the kids do in this movie would be lame as fuck, because their entrance is kind of cool. The Rottweiler runs off. Dude goes back inside. The wife is like yelling at him. She's talking about she wants to leave. She's never seen the sun this bad before. She's talking about how you've never been this bad before. You've never broken into the whiskey this early, and he's like, you call me a drunk? And she's like, no, but and she's like, let's just get out of here, but the dude is like, listen, we're on the cusp of a gold mine. All I need is this one, book, and that'll lead into movie deals and talk shows, and we won't have to worry about money for the rest of our life. But she's like, I don't care about money, Once again, I don't see how these people are hurting financially at all, even though dude says they're broke.
Well, it makes sense to me because he's like, we're paying 2 mortgages.
I guess, so, yeah.
I mean, I get that, right? But
yeah. The dude is sort of able to sweet talk his way out of this one. And they kind of just kiss and make up in the kitchen. The next day, he's talking to Deputy So-and-so.
It just sounds like we're dumb every time we say that name.
That's his name.
Yeah, it's...
And he tells him that, fucking this guy, whoever's filming, is killing families by drugging them, and so they're defenseless and stuff, and then he always takes a child with them. The same symbol keeps popping up in every video, and this is when Deputy So-and-so is like, oh, there's a professor who kind of deals with weird stuff. Maybe he'd be able to tell what that is. So he sends off the symbol pictures to this professor to see what it's all about. Then he goes back to his office, and apparently there's one more tape that he's had that I don't know if he found it just now or if he just hadn't watched it yet. But he watches the final tape of the movie, which is a person spying in on a family while they're like in the living room doing whatever. And then it goes to like, it's dark and it's raining, and they go over to a lawnmower, and it's got it to where it's like looking down where you can see the very front of the lawnmower and like some of the front of the grass of where it's headed. And it just keeps going. And then the next thing you know, a person is laying there tied up, and it lets out like this. It sounded like the beginning of Funny Games with the music that kicks in or whatever, just this loud scream. I don't know what it is, but Ethan Hawke jumps, and
I jumped. That's the part that got me.
That's the jump scare that's like on the list of all the like scariest jump scares of all time. So I even knew, I was like, all right, he's gonna run over a person here, and I was, oh my god. Like, yeah, I jumped so bad. It
lulls you in because you're watching this lawnmower for like a minute.
It's a while.
It doesn't sound like long, but like when you're watching a scary movie, it could be forever. So you're watching it, and it just seems like they're strolling around, fucking dude's head, and it's like, wow! And I'm like, oh god, I jumped, and I was like, okay,
I jumped, yeah. So, the next day, Ethan Hawke gets in touch with that professor dude, who's played by a no-name, well, we don't know. And he tells him that the symbol that's in all these pictures is the symbol of Bagul, the eater of children. This guy apparently lures kids into his realm, and then slowly eats their soul over time. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so he's like, I'll do more research about him. Not a lot's known, but I'll keep looking. And he's like, all right, cool. So he stops talking to him. Once again, the projector starts up on its own. And shit's going weird tonight. This is when I wrote down, it feels like this dude is in this house all by himself when this shit is going down. The wife and everything is just gone when he's going through all this shit at night. Like, they don't wake up at anything. Like, he always feels like he's alone in these situations. Oh my god, this is it. He's walking around the house, and a ghost girl pops up behind his shoulder. And it's supposed to be like a jump scare because she like comes like and she's all on his shoulder, and I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And from that point on, he's like walking around the house, and a bunch of ghost kids and shit are fucking walking around and running around and shit. And it's pretty bad. It's terrible. I didn't like it at all. The next day, the daughter gets in trouble because she paints on her walls and stuff, and they let her do it in her room, but she's not supposed to go outside of her room. But she did anyway.
Did they ever show what she painted?
Yeah, she painted the picture of the family hanging and Bagul on the wall next to it.
Well, I saw that. That was the picture where she was, but that was in her room. That wasn't outside of her room.
Oh.
Because that picture, she's laying in bed when he checks on her, and you can see her moving.
Okay,
but she's looking at the dead girl.
The dead girl, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, shh. She does the thing. But I'm like, it never shows what she painted outside of her room. All right,
maybe it was just because she painted outside. They were just, I don't know. Anyway, fucking Ethan Hawke talks to Deputy So-and-so again, and he tells him about Bagul and how, like, he kind of entrusts Deputy So-and-so with this because he hasn't told anyone. And so he tells him what's been going on. But Deputy So-and-so is like, listen, you've been drinking a lot. You've been under a lot of stress. I think maybe your mind is just trying to think of ways to deal with what you've been going through and stuff. And he just doesn't really believe him. This is when the daughter... Oh, okay. The daughter gets in trouble because she drew something on the wall. She drew a picture of Stephanie on a tire swing. That's what she drew in the hallway. Okay. And apparently, this used to be... She says, like, this used to be her room next or whatever. And the daughter's like, what? And this is how she finds out that the house they moved into is the house that the murder in the backyard took place and shit. She's like, we moved into a house that a murder happened. And he's like, it didn't happen in the house, it happened in the backyard. And she's like, this is when she's like, why did we, and he's like, it came on the market, it was a steal. And she's like, gee, I wonder why. And, and so she's not very happy about this, which I really can't blame her for that. She's pissed at him. They, like, go to bed. That night, he's woken up once again. He's walking through the house. He goes into the hallway, and the ladder to the attic is down. And he goes up into it, and he sees all the kids sitting around watching the projector of Mr. I wrote down Mr. Bagul. That's not right. Bagul, who comes walking out, or is walking towards the camera, and then he pops up in front of Ethan Hawke somehow, and Ethan Hawke like eats shit down the stairs, like he hits his head on each step and shit. The film then gets tossed down to him in the basement, or on the floor, and he takes it and immediately goes outside and just burns it all. And the wife finally wakes up in the middle of the night. The only time she's woken up before this is whenever the kid had something. She's magically has been there the whole time. He burns the shit. She comes out to check on him, but he's like, listen, we got to get the fuck out of here. Let's go now. And she tries to ask questions, but he's like, no, let's just get out of here. So they pack up the kids, and they're leaving. I really dig the music that's playing during this, where it's like, that's a terrible, but yeah, I can't remember. Let's see if I remember the Gyroscope by Boards of Canada is the name of that song. So there you go. I liked it. He's driving away. What's this? God damn. Oh, he's driving away, and he's trying to get as far away from this house, so he's speeding shit, and he gets pulled over by that sheriff from the beginning. But when dude mentions that he's just trying to take his advice and get the fuck out of here and don't look back. The sheriff's like, well, I see no reason to get your autograph. And he just tears up the ticket he was going to give him and lets him on his way. They move back to their original home. This is when we see it's like a fucking mansion. They set everything up in here. Ethan Hawke talks to that professor dude once again. And this is when we learn that like the snake and the scorpion and the dog are all like forms of Bagul. And apparently Bagul can live in images, and that can be like portals to his realm. And Ethan Hawke is like, well, what if you like burn it? What if you burn it all? And the professor is like, what type of book are you writing, sir? And the dude's like, never mind. He like hangs up. So dude takes some more boxes up into the attic, but wouldn't you believe it? The box full of films is here, and so dude freaks out. This time they have the extended endings on them.
In an envelope.
Yeah, in an envelope.
Writing and so.
He gets a phone call from Deputy So-and-so, and Deputy So-and-so then reveals that he's been able to draw a path between each murder. And the path is that the first murder was the pool house murder. And then the family that was burned alive lived in that same house, and then once they moved, they were killed. And then the family who was stabbed to death moved into the firehouse, and when they moved, they were killed, and then so on and so forth. So Deputy So-and-so is like, if you've moved out, you've now invited this thing to take its final... And so basically... Ethan Hawke kind of fucked up, even though he was trying to get away and do what he... I think at that point you're fucked anyway. Like if you stay in the house, I'm pretty sure you get got, and if you leave, you're gonna get got. So there's nothing you can do there.
Well, no, I think.
Yeah.
It's just my.
What if you kill your kids?
Could do that.
That would probably solve it.
I think every murder happened from a person who lived there, right?
Okay.
Well, no, yeah, you're still fucked because no matter where you move, you're still going to be lived in the house of the old place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only way out of this is to...
You got to kill your kids.
You don't have to kill them. You just have to leave them somewhere.
All right, that's
so.
But then they'll come back.
No, well, the ant watch them, and then the ant kills. They kill the ant, and then they get, Mr. Boogie'd.
Yeah.
And then they're out of the picture.
Shit, we just solved this.
You can make more kids. It's easy. It's kind of fun, even.
Yeah. Anyway.
Going to hell.
Yeah, so dude watches all the films. We see all the kids doing the killing. They do the stupid to the camera and stuff. I hate it. And then as dude's watching this, he notices that he's starting to feel awful lightheaded, and he's been sipping on this whiskey, and he looks in the bottom, and there's like some just neon green fucking poison stuff, I guess. It looks like
she know to make poison.
It looks like she just like broke a glow stick and just dumped it out in his drink. Like
that wouldn't poison you though. Like
I don't. Somehow she knows what she's supposed to use. Maybe Bagul told her. But yeah, so dude falls over, and his daughter is standing there, and she says that, "Don't worry, Daddy, I'll make you famous again." And then when he wakes up, he's tied up, and the wife and presumably the son, I don't think you can really see him, but they're tied up next to him. The girl comes in with an axe, and she lifts it up, but it cuts away before we see her like actually kill him. But we do see that out throughout the wall, she's like left paintings and blood and shit. And then we go into the dude's office where the projector is playing, and all the kids are on the projector looking at her. And behind her, as she's looking at them, Bagul pops up behind her, and they go running away. And then Bagul picks her up, and walks into the projector screen, carrying her with him into the new tape. And then the tape closes up and we see one more. I think it's called like Family Paintings is the name of the tape.
They're painting the house or
Yeah,
something.
and it closes up, and then we get one last Bagul jumps up at the camera, and that's how Sinister ends. So, like I said, I really liked the first hour or so of this movie, even though as we were talking about it, I was like, man, there were just a lot of him just walking around the house at night, and like, but yeah, once the kids got brought in, it just I didn't like it. This movie had a budget of $3 million and made a box office of $87 million. And that was enough to warrant a sequel.
Really?
3 years later in 2015, and the sequel stars Deputy So-and-so. So he's the star of that movie.
Is Ethan Hawke in it?
No,
well, no,
Ethan
he
Hawke's
wouldn't be.
dead as fuck. Yeah,
well, I mean, he might be in the family video.
The second one is Deputy So-and-so, and then like a woman moves into town, and she has like two sons. And if I remember right, like, cause I know more about the second one than I do the first. The second one, like the son is the star of most of the movie, like because I think it has to go like, and the ghost kids pop up a lot more if I remember right. So I'm not sure if we'll watch Sinister 2 anytime soon, but maybe we might throw it in on the overtime or something. Let's see if I have anything said that. This is why we say it's scientifically proven. This is the world's scariest movie. In 2020, Forbes magazine conducted a study, Science of Scare project, where the heart rate of the viewers were monitored while they watched a number of horror films. Out of 35 films, this movie won, having the highest average heart rate at 86 beats per minute, spiking at 131 beats per minute. Thus, it is often deemed the scariest movie ever made. So, I'd like to see the list of all the movies they showed them to see what that beat out.
I mean, any jump scare film is going to beat that, right? Like this, I don't know. Like it was it scary? No. It had a couple jump scares in it. The ghost didn't do enough shit. Like there's no, well, not ghost, demon.
Yeah,
whatever.
like I said, the fire tape of the people being burned in the car unnerved me. And then the lawnmower scene got me to jump. But besides that, like, nothing else. Like, there were some scenes I thought were cool, but nothing else I was like, oh my god. You know? So, I don't know. I'm looking at this article. I'm trying to find...
I'm sorry.
From there, the 8 movies that followed Sinister and Insidious, so I guess Insidious was top 2. The top 10 were Sinister, Insidious, The Conjuring, Hereditary, Paranormal Activity, It Follows. Why the fuck was It Follows on there? Well, I guess there's The Conjuring 2, The Babadook, The Descent, and The Visit.
So I know how it'd be Paranormal Activity by far is the scariest movie I've ever watched in my life.
Okay.
But nothing happens in that movie till like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's how it beat it because, heart rate,
James Wan was dubbed the king of horror by fucking broadband choices, as Wan was at the helm of 3 different scary movies that are ranked in the top 10. Modern movies performed much better than the classics, while the movies like The Exorcist, Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Texas Chainsaw Massacre might be considered better horror movies. They didn't scare study participants nearly as much as the modern flicks did. Audition was dubbed the scariest foreign horror film on the study.
We watched that. Was it scary? There's one jump scare.
Yeah. The Ring is on here. A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is number 12. Who the fuck found A Quiet Place scary? A Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 28 Days Later, The Exorcist, Hush, It, Scream, The Grudge, The Witch, The Blair Witch Project, Alien, and The Thing. Oh, hold on. Poltergeist, Annabelle, Friday the 13th, The Orphanage, Dark Skies, Wolf Creek, The Omen, The Shining, Get Out, and Audition. I like how they say that Audition was the scariest foreign film. Audition is in 35th place. So that means to me that they just didn't show any other foreign films. Like, which has The Descent is, well, what do they consider foreign? Because The Descent is like British or Australian.
I want to say it's French, isn't it?
It might be. I think they're speaking, in subtitles.
Yeah, because
the Babadook is foreign.
Yeah, It Follows is British, isn't it?
That was a Michigan movie. They were like in Detroit the whole, because part of the movie was like the city fucking sucks. So, 28 Days Later is foreign. They're British as fuck in that movie. Anyway,
but it's not a foreign made film.
I guess, yeah.
This movie's not scary. It's not like.
Yeah. Well, let's do best of, worst of. My best of is gonna be the film with the people getting set on fire. I thought that was the most well done one. Like I said, the sound of it, and it was just on a loop the whole time. It was really good. Yeah, I think most people would say the lawnmower jump scare, which that's good too. But like, I like it, like the lawnmower jump scare scares you because it's out of nowhere and it's and loud noise and stuff. But it takes extra talent to like just unnerve me via like just actions that are taking place. Like there was no jump scare there. It was just creepy what was happening. My worst of, the fucking ghost kids. After their cool like entrance, everything with them shushing the camera, I hated it. It really brought down the movie for me. So that's my best of, worst of. Tyler, what's your best of, worst of?
All right, best of. I don't think you're ready for this.
Okay.
I don't think you can handle this, honestly. Right before he falls down from the attic, right?
Uh-huh.
And he has the flashlight in his hand.
Yeah.
And he grabbed a knife from the kitchen.
Okay, yeah, he did.
And he's about to go up the attic, and then he goes full on pirate, where he puts the knife in his teeth,
Yeah.
and he holds it in his teeth while he's opening the attic. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I go, "Oh fuck, we got pirates now!" And that was the best part of the movie.
All right, okay.
just because I was like, I laughed so hard at my own joke.
Yeah.
For like 5 minutes, and I almost typed it to you.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I'll save this.
All right.
I mean, there's okay parts, right? Like the lawnmower is very good. My least favorite part of this movie was Mr. Boogie. He did nothing.
Yeah.
What did he do the whole movie? I mean,
he popped up a couple times.
Where he's like, "Oh, that's the bad guy," and it's like, "Is he really? He didn't do anything."
Yeah, and
I understand that he's the cause of everything.
Yeah, that's their thing. They're like, well, he's causing the show. He's like a Manson, where he's just like putting the ideas in their heads.
You say that, but like, you look back in time, like the Incans or the Mayans, whatever, sacrificed 1 million people to their gods.
Inca, bottle of ink, paintings of rebellion, drawn up by the thoughts, I think. Go ahead.
But no one like blames the gods, right? They just blame the people
and the Jews.
So. What is wrong with this guy? He's gonna die.
Yeah,
and I'm about to sit here and watch.
These are those like
Boogie's coming after me.
Cheese crackers. They're very easy to joke on. You know what I mean? Like they just mash up.
So, my worst part of the movie.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
So, in order for the people to get abducted into the thing, they have to be a witness to it, right? They outline this. Never once do they say how this girl saw anything to do with the Bagul.
Uh-huh.
Like, they go to make it a point that the guy keeps his office door locked and closed and blah, blah, blah. There's even a point where she brings him coffee and he doesn't let her in the room.
Yeah.
And it's like showing how he's an asshole or whatever.
Yeah, because he just shuts it in her face.
Yeah, but like they never show how she got inducted into it. Not once. And to me, that's a huge plot hole in this whole fucking movie, and it makes the whole thing not make sense.
Yeah.
Because at what point is she with him? At what point is she? Like I said, I don't know. It just makes me mad. Yeah. Unless you saw something I didn't.
No, I didn't see shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes we miss stuff. That's why it's good to have to, but
sometimes I won't point fingers, but sometimes people miss that actors on screen are very famous. Very famous known actors. And then they run their mouth, and now they owe people $5.
I was hoping you'd go higher. I started to doubt myself, and I was like, oh, shit.
I felt super confident after the front page of Google didn't show them. And I was like, I got this in the bag. And then, sure enough, at the bottom, I was like, fuck. All right. Well, hey, thanks for listening to us talk about Sinister. Like I said, Sinister 2, don't hold your breath. I'm sure we'll probably watch it at some point, but I'm not in the mood to watch it right now. That could change, though. Next week, Tyler, I think we're going to watch The Fly. Jeff Goldblum, and I think that's Cronenberg who did that.
Have I ever told you how much I fucking despise Jeff Goldblum? I think I have.
Every time I bring him up. Okay. Yeah, it's Cronenberg. It's a remake of a movie from the 50s, I'm sure, because like this time frame is when like everyone was remaking shit from the 50s. But yeah, The Fly. I saw it when I was a kid. I don't remember anything about it, so it should be interesting. But it's a classic, so we will check out The Fly. Besides that, some shorts might be coming out. I'm not sure where this lines up. No Smoke Break or Overtime is lined up as of right now. We haven't discussed any. I did want to do a Smoke Break randomly on SLC Punk, starring Matthew Lillard, just because I wanted to watch that movie and talk about it again, because I really like... Have you ever seen that SLC Punk?
Yeah, I told you to watch it.
Okay. I really like the dynamic between Matthew Lillard and fucking...
Filthy Frank or whatever his name is, or...
No. Matthew Lillard and his dad, who's played by Shooter McGavin. That's I was trying to think of. I just like the dynamic of like the dad was never mean to him. He just wanted what was best for him, even though like the marriage I think was ending and stuff, but like the dad was and like there's a scene where he takes Matthew Lillard to like this country club and people are giving him like weird looks and shit, but like dude doesn't even think like he's like, "Oh, this is my son." I like that. Yeah, it's a feel-good movie until the end where it made me cry. I don't know if it should be a feel-good movie, but I just thought about doing a Smoke Break just because I wanted to watch it again and talk about it. But I'm not making any promises that will happen because it probably won't. But you know, it might. Yeah. And besides that, I'm sure eventually we'll get into. We got to start a new series eventually. Even though we just got back into Puppet Master and we both liked that one. And we were like, we should watch more Puppet Master. But we haven't. We need to watch 5 just because it continues that story. And it's the same guy and everything. So maybe we'll watch Puppet Master 5. Maybe we'll do next Overtime will be Puppet Master 5. And then after that, maybe we can stop again for a while because then that story, I think, is done. So, anyway. Tyler, got anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
No, just work's been crazy. So, like, we're kind of limited in time.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like...
more people watching us, we would quit our jobs and make a lot more content.
We would, yeah. Just everyone start watching, and we'll just quit and just do this. Yeah, so yeah, that's why Overtime's kind of slowed down. We still have the main show. Like I said, we haven't missed a single Friday since the beginning. I will put everything into my effort. That's not how you say that, but to make sure that as long as I have some way of putting out an episode on a Friday, there will always be an episode. unless everything just fucking falls through, and it's like I just can't do it. So yeah, so the regular episodes just be there. Overtime's kind of slowed down, but you know, they're still gonna be coming out, you know. All right, well, thanks for watching. Link to the gaming channel and everything in the description. Go check that out. We put out 2 Rocket League. I always forget is a super popular game, and we dropped 2 Rocket League shorts, and they both like did really well on views. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot people like really like watching Rocket League.
When Mav said he'd blow you?
Yeah, that was I messaged
video.
Maverick. I was like, I love the fact that the short that's done the best in the last few weeks or whatever is the one with you saying you're gonna suck my dick. Like it was good.
Well, maybe we need to revisit.
He wanted to. He was like, "Do you want to get back into Rocket League?" Before the shorts came out, like he just mentioned it. So maybe we'll play a couple. Even though we were just playing Hell Let Loose, and I had a lot of fun on that game. Besides the last match where we then had to run fucking 10 minutes to the fight every time. But I had a lot of fun in that. So maybe this weekend maybe we'll play some Hell Let Loose and some Rocket League. Have a nice little time. Yeah. Anyway. So link to all that is in the description. Next week, The Fly. And we'll see you guys then. All right, bye.
Oh.